All right, well, here we are, almost, we're 4 days away from being 3 years to the day since I put my last video up, but, I've been on been in a couple of big tractor power videos here recently, and I've noticed there's still some people around asking about me, so in light of that, I figured what the fuck, we'll, make a video and see what happens. This doesn't mean I'm coming back full time. It doesn't mean there's going to be a bunch of videos coming up, but I guess just for the people that was wondering what the hell's going on, and there's still I still got a few subscribers around, so we'll see how many of you actually find this video, but I guess we'll just kind of give you a little bit of the happenings of what's been going on and what's new in the last 3 years. Most obviously, front and center, Dad bought a Super 55 diesel out of a junkyard this summer. And by out of a junkyard, I mean it sat in a junkyard for at least 23 years, like a legit junkyard. Hadn't ran the whole time. Dad knows the guy that lives just down the road from where it was at, and he confirmed that for the last 23 years that he's been driving back and forth to work past that junkyard, this tractor has sat in the same fucking spot. And he gave $700 for it and brought it home, and he was thinking he was just going to part it out if there was anything major wrong with it. He was going to part it out or sell it, one of the two. Well, I worked on it for 3 hours, pulled the inspection cover off the pump, make sure the ejection pump was freed up, drained the fuel tank, had to cobble up the fuel system a little bit to bypass the fuel filters because the fuel system on it was dicked. And anyway, 3 hours working on it after sitting in a junkyard for 23 years that we know of, and I had it out in the driveway driving around and running just like it was running the day before. And obviously since then we put a bunch of money into it. We straightened out the fuel system, got all new wiring on it, put a generator on it because I had an alternator cobbled up on it. Hydraulics been rebuilt. Brakes are done. Front axle's junk, but we got parts right there to put a different axle under it because there just ain't no fixing this one. And I pulled the injectors out of it a couple weeks ago and cleaned those. It actually runs really good. I'd start it for you, but it smokes like a freight train. It's not like oil smoke. She just typical Lenovo style head. It smokes, and I don't want to fill the bar with smoke. So, but next step, I got to pull the injection pump off because it is ever so slowly dumping fuel in the crankcase, which means the transfer pump probably leaking. But I got to find seals for it. 1950T, she went in for surgery this summer. It popped another head gasket this spring. And, or actually, no, it popped a head gasket last fall, chisel plowing. And, so, which I guess wasn't a bad thing. I knew the head on it was junk anyway, so, 2 winters ago, I found a really nice virgin head off of a blown up 1855 with the turbo, both, man, it was a complete head. I gave $150 for it, and so it's got the head was decked, it's got all new valves, had the seats ground, has a 3-angle valve grind on it, whole nine yards on the head. And then while I did that, we pulled the motor, I did the clutch in it, and a couple other odds and ends. That thing had $4,000 put in it this summer. But that new head makes a big difference. It doesn't even sound like the same tractor. So next step is going to probably be the hydraulics. Those need to get done, but there's other things higher on the priority, and this one works just fine for now. So on to the other side of the barn. Obviously, 1800, she ain't changed. Other than, I don't remember if it had the new rubber on it when I put the last video up. I think it did. I don't know. 1800's got new rubber on it if it didn't. And over here, now I have two grain trucks. Last summer, Dad got a wild hair. Actually, for like last 3-4 years, Dad's kind of halfway been looking for a grain truck just because he wanted one. And I'm surprised he bought this one because he was looking at like a 64, 65, 66 body style. He really wanted one like that. But this one came up. It's a 76 C65 with a 366 and a 5 and a 2. Really, really, really super clean truck. Originally came out of Delphi, Indiana. And then a farmer up here bought it and he quit farming. And he's going to take it back down to the same auction he bought it from. I wish there was better light in here. Because, I mean, it's a really clean truck. 27,000 original miles. No rust in the rockers. There's no rust on it really at all. No rust on the frame. It's a really straight truck. I don't think it's ever seen salt. Runs like a champ. Pulls like a freight train. But, yeah, where was I? Yeah. So, that's Dad's truck. Oh, it'll really mess you up going between this truck and my truck, because this is a 5 and a 2. In reverse on this is like a semi. It's over and forward, and my truck reverses over and back, and it'll really screw you up switching between trucks in the same day. But it's got a little bit of an antifreeze leak that showed up. I don't know if it's a water pump. I haven't looked into it. Really haven't had time. It's got to be slow because it's still dripping. So it ran out of antifreeze by now because it's been sitting since it's been a minute. 1955, knee deep in rubber. It's got all new deep tread sats across the back of it, and obviously duals aren't on it, but did that. And then last winter I had the hydraulics off of it and went through those because the gasket, the pan gasket started leaking like a sieve right here, which once we got it apart, there was also, like typical of everything else I worked on this tractor, was so much shit jacked up in the hydraulics on this thing. And then this winter had to pull it back off because the PTO took a shit. The brake lining flew apart and the PTO wouldn't shut off, which scared the shit out of me because when it happened, there was a crunch in the rear end and I lost oil pressure, and I thought sure as shit it threw the chain off the lube pump and it went through the pinion gear. But luckily it was just that PTO disc, although I did change that chain while I was in there. And then 1600 now has a loader on it. It's a white 1170, which would be the loader that was custom fit for a white 60, American 60 or an 80. But surprisingly does not take a whole hell of a lot of modification to get on a row crop frame Oliver. Basically we had to like this, and you probably can't fucking see it because it's too dark in here. The original bracket stopped right here and there was a 4-bolt pattern there, and then you got your clam bracket up front, or saddle bracket up front. Now what we had to do was add it onto the bracket to catch 4 bolts up here and 2 bolts back here. And other than that, which really wasn't that big of a deal, it fits the tractor like it was made for it. It's perfect size for this thing. And then it's got a joystick with a 3rd function valve on it because we run a grapple on it now, which is handier than hell. So yeah, there's that. Next one, we got to take a little walk up to the farm. So, like I say, I don't know. You're not going to be getting videos all the time from me. It ain't going to be like it was before. And the first time anybody starts mouthing off for saying stupid shit, I'm done with it again because I just ain't got the time or the patience and really don't give enough of a fuck to put up with that shit. But I'm doing this because I kind of did miss it a little bit. I'm going to make a couple, well, I'm going to go through and make some of my videos public again, not all of them. But the shop videos are probably going to come to an end, and it'll probably just be when I got time to making videos of field work. when we get another year like this, time is kind of short because this was a shitty year. Sorry if there's wind noise. I'm assuming there's probably going to be. And you can probably already see what's sitting up here. I talked about this tractor quite a bit before I quit. Yeah, here's going to be a lot of fucking wind noise. I apologize. Finally got me a 1974 2255. Come out of central Indiana. It has a broke crank, but I've already got a good motor, 160 horse motor out of a truck, which when I put it in here, it ain't gonna be 160 horse no more. I want to make it about 180. But you need the bell housing and a couple other odds and ends to take off of this motor to stick on the truck motor to make the truck motor work in here. But mechanically, obviously the cab's seen better days, but mechanically it really shouldn't be in that bad of shape. It's only got 3,900 original hours on it. They were using it when it broke the crank, and he was chisel plowing, and it actually broke a crank when it had 34 hours on it, so he knew what it was going to sound, or he knew what it was supposed to, or he knew what it sounded like when the crank let go. He said he was chisel plowing around the corner from the farm. It started white smoking and changed tone, and he knew exactly what it was. Started knocking a little bit, so he said he shut it off, and they unhooked the plow and drug it on a trailer and backed it off in his front yard, and it sat there from 1993 until I bought it this summer. So I was hoping to work on it this winter, but other projects are taking priority. Well, they're not taking priority at the minute, but there's gonna be some money spent this spring. I gotta put up a shed, but I am missing the 3-point arm from the drop bar. They Moline that they still have, but I got the dual cones with it, which are worth a little bit of money by themselves. And then the other thing, I have a 7 bottom on land 575 plow, 565. So I bought this 3 winters ago at a salvage yard auction. Had like 800 something plows. And I bet all but 25 of them went to scrap. Big plows, rare plows. Everything from a 2 bottom up to, I think the biggest one we saw was an 8 bottom. There was an 8 bottom Oliver there, but it was too far gone. This one is all there except for 4 coulters. I got the drawbar, but a buddy pilfered it to get an IH semi-mount plow home that he bought, so I gotta get that back. So there's all that. But it's cold and it's windy, so you probably can't hear me for shit. So anyway, like I say, this probably isn't going to turn into a whole lot. This is mostly just for the people that wonder what was going on, and I'll get a video of the white running probably this spring. I know there's a bunch of people wanting to see that. 24-foot Glencoe soft finisher, 26-foot Kilcrow's rolling harrow. I pull behind that now for fitting ground, which is amazing. A little bit more than that old 150 wants, but she handles it decent. So, like I say, don't expect much to come of this, but I will be making some of my old videos public, not all of them, just some of them, and yeah. So I guess other than that, not a whole hell of a lot else going on around here. I did buy a house. I got a house at 6 acres. I'll probably make a video of my barn too. I got a really badass barn. It's an 1891 bank barn that's in immaculate shape. So I'll have to make a video of that too, because it's a really badass barn. But, yeah. I guess we'll see how many people actually watch this, and we'll probably catch you here at some point down the road. Take her easy, guys and girls and everybody else.